Kyle Shanahan may get criticism from 49ers fans, but he was paid the ultimate compliment by defensive coaches around the league, except for one major weakness. Let's talk about it. Ted Wynn in The Athletic has the story. He pulled 6 defensive coordinators and assistant coaches around the NFL and asked them to rank the top 10 play callers in the league. Kyle Shanahan was number 1 on that list, ahead of Ben Johnson, ahead of Sean McVay, ahead of Andy Reid. Kyle Shanahan came out as number 1. That is a huge compliment from the defensive coaches, and they talked about all the things that we have heard about Kyle Shanahan, how he makes his plays look the same, how he understands defensive rules, how he knows how to break down your defense, even little individual tendencies of specific defensive players. Kyle can exploit it all. Even after 8 years in the NFL, he is still making defensive coaches chase their tails. Now, there was one important caveat there. At the end of the Kyle Shanahan section was this paragraph, which I think a lot of Niners fans will be able to tell you about. Quote, one shortcoming that came up a few times was Shanahan's pass protection schemes. There are ways to manipulate the protection, and their reliance on play action can lend itself to mismatches up front. Otherwise, no play caller in the league commands as much respect from defensive coaches as Kyle Shanahan. And we have seen that particularly in the Super Bowl against Steve Spagnuolo. Spags understood how to manipulate that protection and how to generate a lot of free pass rushers that gave Brock Purdy a lot of problems in that game. So the question for Kyle Shanahan is, does he recognize how these defensive coaches are manipulating his protections? And does he change his style of offense? Or if he doesn't do that, does he come up with better answers for Brock Purdy and the offense in 2025? That is going to be the big question for Kyle Shanahan. And there's one main reason why I think this could get fixed. And we'll get to that in 1 second. But before we do, a word from Sleeper. Football season is right around the corner, and now is the perfect time to get your picks in with Sleeper. And look, it couldn't be simpler. I got my phone right here in my hand. You can see it on the screen. It's super easy to navigate. You go into the app, you click on picks at the bottom of the screen, and your options pop right up. All the different leagues are right at the top of the screen. You can scroll over. I'm going to go right over to NFL. And again, immediately the picks pop right up. Let's scroll over to the 49ers game, shall we? Niners, Seahawks. You click on the matchup, and immediately all your options flash right before your screen. I am very confident in a couple of different things in this game. One, I think Brock Purdy is going to have more than 240 and a half passing yards. So I'll take Brock Purdy. You know what? Let me just check the options here. I don't think he's going to have 300. He'll probably have, I'll say 225. I think that's where I'm going to go with Brock Purdy. And then the other part of this, because you got to pick 2 players from different teams. So let's go over to the interceptions. Again, you see all the categories there at the top of the screen. Sam Darnold, you are definitely going to have more than 1 interception. You can add more if you want. It's up to you. You can, add as many as you want, quite frankly. But that's what I'm going to go with. You click view entry and you click your amount there. You can choose, obviously, the different options, whatever you want to do. But turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Download the app, pick more or less on 2 or more of your favorite players, as I said. And if you use our promo code GSP, that's important. Use our code GSP. Link in the description of the video. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational, in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. The biggest reason I think that Kyle Shanahan can overcome this defensive flaw, which is brought up by Ted Wynn of The Athletic, is that I believe the extra time off the 49ers have had this offseason gave Kyle more time in the lab, more time to self-scout thyself, as Chris Sims likes to say. And I think he is going to have some things in his bag this year that's going to counteract sort of the Shanahan rules that maybe other defensive coaches have started to develop as the years have gone by. Let's not forget, the Niners went 6-11 last year. They had a lot of down years from players. It was also kind of a down year for Kyle Shanahan as a head coach. He was not totally sharp with his play calling, with his game plans. It didn't have his best year with his game management, as many of you know. So I think Kyle's going to be looking to bounce back as much as all of the players will be. I think Kyle's going to be extra motivated. He has Brock Purdy. He has, as of this recording, a pretty healthy team, which is a crazy thing to say about the San Francisco 49ers because usually they are not healthy. They appear to be pretty healthy for 2025, at least to this point on September 2nd. We'll see if that continues going forward. But despite the criticism of Kyle Shanahan, clearly defensive coaches around the league still respect him, still think of him as one of the premier offensive minds in the sport. Doesn't guarantee anything, doesn't make him perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I still think that the 49ers could do a hell of a lot worse than Kyle Shanahan as their head coach, and I think they're due for a big bounce back in 2025.